Boys, UFC Noche just finished up, and this is a great card. As you guys can see on screen, we got every single winner and the big loser himself in Silva. We're going to matchmake every single one of these guys and who they should fight in next, as well as we got those prelims, and we'll go through these ones fast towards the end of the video because on this rare MMA channel, we run through every single winner. Let's get into this main event now, the main card. Diego Lopes, you know, getting that nasty spit. This year is the year of spinning elbows is what I realized, because we've had a few, you know, spinning elbow KOs and TKOs this year. Year of the spinning elbow. Silva was landing some spinning elbows, just some elbows in general in this fight. Lopes gave that shit right back to him. Cut him up bad. This dude looked like mincemeat by the end of the fight, and low-key, Silva got a little salty at the end of the fight and tried to fight Lopes, but it was a good stoppage. I think it was a good stoppage. And you know, Silva, good fighter, just borderline retarded and doesn't have any fight IQ is what we've learned in this fight. But Diego Lopes, what's next for Diego? I think his next fight is going to be a title fight, mainly because this is how I see featherweight playing out. I think we're going to see Volkanovski versus Murphy in December. And I think that's when we see the GOAT hang it up. I think Volkanovski's hanging the gloves up in December, and still he's going to defend that belt against Murphy, and we are going to have a vacant featherweight title fight between Diego Lopes and Movsar Evloev, the rematch. That's how I see this featherweight division playing out. And again, this is a good matchup. It's a rematch. Diego Lopes low-key almost beat Movsar Evloev in their first fight on short notice. Run this one next. I think that makes sense. If not, if Murphy does lose to Volkanovski and he doesn't hang up the gloves, I think we do Lopes versus someone, maybe like a Murphy coming off a loss. Maybe we do an Aljamain Sterling, one of those two fights, while Movsar Evloev most likely gets his title shot. But let's keep moving down, though, to the big loser of the card, Silva. This dude's just too emotional, even towards like the buildup of this fight. I think his emotions got the best of him during the fight itself. What do we do next for Silva? Because he was pretty low on the rankings compared to someone like a Lopes. I think we just give him a bounce back easy knockout win here in Josh Emmett, to be honest. Silva is still someone the UFC is going to want to build up. And it's crazy how the Fighting Nerds went from one of the best teams in the UFC to a few months later, every single one of their big name fighters losing. And to be honest, Silva lost out of all of them the worst. He got stopped and cut open, and one of the worst losses from the Fighting Nerds. But let's keep moving down, though, because I don't think this one really needs that much explanation. Violence, you know. If we do a BMF type of fight next year, which I don't think we're gonna see another BMF title fight, you know. I think we might see it, you know. Max could fight someone like Oliveira or maybe a Dan Hooker, you know. Maybe we put the BMF belt there. I wouldn't mind seeing this one on this card, but Silva's going to need some time off. We're not seeing this dude until not quite midway next year, but around that timeline. But let's keep moving down to David Martinez. David Martinez, second fight in the UFC and is ranked number 9 in the division. Crazy. And there was a point in time where bantamweight was one of the most skilled divisions. I don't think so anymore. That being said, I think that's crazy because I'm thinking about it now. Martinez is probably by a long shot, the least paid fighter in the top 15, because that's only his second UFC fight. He's probably getting paid like 15 and 15, and he's in the top 15. That's crazy. He's in the top 10, but I think we capitalize on this new name in the division and we feed him some unks who are on their way out, but I could still see this unk beating him. With that being said, I would probably, I don't know, I might favor Martinez in this fight, but let's do Davis and Figueiredo. Figueiredo's on his way out. He's an unk in this division. He hasn't looked that great as of recently. There's still a chance that he can win here. You know, he's a crafty vet, a former champion, and I'm looking through the division, and this fight out of all of them makes the most sense. My favorite part of this entire, at least this fight, was the last minute of the round where David Martinez is just bullying Rob Font on the ground. The place is loud as hell, and the bell has to be rang 3 times because the ref, a little bit of a downy, couldn't hear the buzzer, so Rob Font was just getting hammered for an additional like 6 seconds. But let's keep moving down. Rafa Garcia's. Who do we give Rafa Garcia's? He had a semi of a underdog win here. I did say that I thought Jared Gordon was going to win. It would have been a close fight, and the only one that I could see gain a finish here is Rafa Garcia's, which honestly is exactly what happened. I already matched up Rafa Garcia's last weekend with another winner on that card, Caio Fernandez. Run this one next. It makes sense. I don't think Rafa Garcia is this huge name that the UFC is going to want to give like super favorable matchups with. I think that's going to be someone like a Caio Fernandez that they're going to do. But let's go down to the biggest whale of the card, Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum is doing absolutely zero favors for himself. I guarantee UFC matchmakers are pissed that this dude comes in 6 pounds overweight. How do you come in 6 pounds overweight when you're fighting at middleweight? You're literally... You could probably, if you dialed in, make lightweight, my guy. You're not a tall dude. You're like 5'8". I don't understand how you're struggling to fit into these 185ers. But what do we do with Kelvin Gastelum? Let's give Kelvin Gastelum, we're not rewarding him for missing weight, but let's give him someone who deserves a top 15 matchup. Kelvin Gastelum isn't top 15, but he's a big name value dude. He's probably the biggest name value guy outside the rankings. Kelvin Gastelum, Bruno Ferreira. If Bruno Ferreira beats Kelvin Gastelum, we're giving Bruno Ferreira a top 10 guy. He deserves to be in the rankings already. And I'm looking through the division, and I don't know if there's anyone in the top 15 that would take a Bruno Ferreira fight. So in the meantime, we give him a big name in Kelvin Gastelum. If he can do that, he raises his stock, and then we get him in the top 10. See if he's ready for that top 10. Let's keep moving down, though. Heartbreak. Literally sick to my stomach. Alexander Hernandez just beat my boy. And, you know... Fuck, this dude's like smirking at me because he knows how much I hate him. Alexander Hernandez knocked out my boy Diego Ferreira brutally, you know, and again, Downey ref was just letting him tee off on him for way too long. That being said, he called out a top 15 level guy. He came out here short notice. The UFC like that kind of stuff. They are probably going to give him a top 15 guy. However, is it going to be the most favorable top 15 guy? No. They're probably going to do something like Alexander Hernandez, Mauricio Rufy. It's a good fight, and I could see it being a lot closer than what people think, especially because of Rufy getting fraud checked by BSD not that long ago. Like, Hernandez, yes, isn't as good as someone like a BSD on the ground, but he definitely can exploit the weaknesses of Rufy. With that being said, Rufy could find that chin of Hernandez. It's not like Hernandez hasn't been chinned before, but run this one next. It's a good fight. It's a fight that gets Hernandez into the top 15, so he'll probably take it. And for Rufy, he's in the top 15 now. He just lost. I don't think he deserves someone higher in the rankings. He has to defend that spot first. Plus, I think he could chin Hernandez. That being said, Santiago Luna got it done over Kwang Lee. Is anyone really that surprised? I thought Kwang Lee was going to get out here and get flatlined in the second round, but he couldn't survive that long. With that being said, you know, I did say Kwang Lee just gets hit way too much. Exactly what happened. Santiago Luna, it's not like he just beat a big name guy. It's Kwang Lee, you know. We're not going to give him a huge jump up in the rankings. He's probably going to get someone similar name value to a Kwang Lee. Let's do Cameron Smotherman. I think this would be a really fun fight. And yeah, just run this one next. I like this one. Let's get into these prelims. We'll run through these ones quick because, again, I know a lot of you guys don't care that much, but Duško got it done over JDM, you know, Jose Daniel Medina. Honestly, cut Medina now. I don't understand how this dude's in the UFC. With that being said, I think we book this fight now. It only makes sense. I think we do Duško versus Bunkang. Bunkang was on this fight card. If you notice, there is no Bunkang or Zachary Reese here. Bunkang got his nuts exploded. That's literally what happened, you know. That's what happens when you have felony charges, battery charges, all of these charges. Zachary Reese comes out here and explodes your right nut, and not in a good way. We saw what happened. This guy needed to be stretchered off. That's hilarious. But yeah, do this one next. Again, both these guys took okay, maybe Bunkang took a little bit more damage, but they should be ready to go out here, you know, by the end of the year. I want to see this one run pretty quickly. I haven't seen any breaking news where, you know, Bunkang's right nut literally exploded. You know, I haven't seen anything like that. So run this one next. Plus, Bunkang needs the money. You know, he had $15 in his bank account now he probably has a couple grand, but that ain't enough for all these charges that he's facing. He has a lot of lawyer fees. Run this one next. With that being said, and I don't think they redo the Zachary Reese fight, to be honest. I think they move on. With that being said, Joaquim Silva almost lost to Claudio, which I did think, like, Claudio, I could see Claudio winning this one. He almost did. And he was on his way to winning this fight until he folded. You know, he lost that in the last 20 seconds from that body shot. He lost that fight because I think he dropped Silva earlier in round 3. He already secured the round, but then he just folded from a body shot. He couldn't have pokered his way out of there. He couldn't have had a little bit of a poker face. It is what it is. Joaquim Silva, Mike Davis, run this one next. I think that'd be a fun fight. Tatiana Suarez, I think it's fair to say either Lemos is just insanely strong and has been working a shit ton on her grappling and wrestling, or the more logical one is Suarez wrestling was just overrated, crazily overrated. And I think that's what happened. I think we overhyped Tatiana Suarez, but what do we do with her next? I think we give her some like a Yao Shao now while we wait for a new champion. Because neither of these girls deserve a title fight. You know, I would like to see at least a 2-fight win streak before we get a title fight. But you know, it seems like that's just way too hard to ask for nowadays. But run that one next. Moving down, Jesus Aguilar got it done. Kevin Borjas, I think that could be a fun matchup. And it's a little bit higher in the ranking for Aguilar. You know, he does have a good record in the UFC. I think he's on a 2-fight win streak right now. Don't really care though. Alden Coria got it done as well. You know, this was the night of the, not just really underdogs, but the newcomers. A lot of newcomers got it done here, just like Alden over Alessandro Costa. Costa broke his toes in this last few seconds of round number 2. Toes were destroyed round 3, and Alden capitalized on it. You know, got a nice TKO win here. And it got so bad where Costa's corner literally threw in the towel. That being said, let's do Philho. New studies have showed that it is pronounced Philho. Let's do Philho next. I like that one. Montserrat got it done. I don't really care. Fraud checked Alice Pereira. And you know, it just shows that I'm retarded for picking a debuting woman. You know, I'll never do that again. Let's do Claudia. Run that one next. I don't care. Then Danny got it done. Honestly, this looks like a great addition to the welterweight division. Nasty elbows, and he cut Rodrigo early in that fight. With that being said, he has a name to him now. He's the ultimate fighter. We're not just going to give him bums with 0 name value. Unfortunately, we're going to have to jump him decently high into the rankings. We're not going to start him at the bottom, more like that midway point. Adam Fugit, run that one next. And I think this is an easy KO win for Danny. I'm not going to lie. But that's UFC Noche. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of this card? That being said, thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. And I will see you guys in my next video.